back YouTube. This is MDRY here. So I want to talk about a discussion video on Behavior's terrible map design. So what I want to look back on is the last 4 maps Behavior has released, which is RPD, Eyrie of Crows, Garden of Joy, and the Shattered Square. All of these maps are terrible, and they all kind of suffer from the same issue. They suffer the same issue that Red Forest does. They are enormous maps. Like, something like the Shattered Square, the map is enormous. And every time I played on it, I've had the same issue. The map is enormous. Yes, and this is the problem with maps like Eyrie of Crows, Garden of Joy, Shattered Square, and even RPD to a degree, is the maps are just, they're big. They're really big. They're hard to travel across with slow killers. The other thing I want to nitpick Konami, I'm not recording you the video. It's early in the morning, give me a break. The other thing I want to nitpick at Behavior is, why are these maps so chock full of bullshit? And that's the problem with all of these. So it's like, I'll just go over the Shattered Square. The Shattered Square looks incredible. I'll give it to all these. Every map that has ever been released, except for maybe Pale Rose, looks incredible. Like, the Shattered Square, it looks like we just stepped right onto a bloody battlefield. It looks incredible. But there's too much shit. This has been basically since Eyrie of Crows, and even the original RPD suffers from the same issue. Is Behavior's mindset when it seems to designing maps seems to just be chock them full of bullshit. You know, it's like Garden of Joy. It's incredible. It's like, it feels like the survivor can't run 5 feet without running into a pallet. Or a tile. It's like there's just too much stuff. You know, it's like the Shattered Square. I've been playing the game. I was like, I get Shattered Square. Where? And it's like, they're looping the main building, they run off into a loop, I break that loop, they run off to a loop, they run off to a loop, they run off to a loop. And they're not running far. It's like, these loops are like, here's one, you know, there was one where it's like, here's a loop, here's Shack, here's another loop over here, and then over here is another loop, there's a pallet between this loop and Shack, there's a pallet here. I'm like, what the fuck? There's just too much. Here's a great example of what I like. What I actually give something like Pale Rose. There's distance between the loops. Another example of a map that did the distance between loops actually surprisingly well is Shelter Woods, surprisingly enough. With Shelter Woods, the distance between loops is a lot. There's not like, there are these giant bullshit amount of loops. Unlike something like Garden of Joy or Eyrie of Crows. Eyrie of Crows is terrible. Terrible. Garden of Joy is the worst offender. There's not been a more powerful road in the entirety of DBD. It's like, we just start on one side of the road. We have a pallet, Shack. Walk a little bit down the road, we have a pallet there, we have a pallet over there, walk a little bit down the road, there's a pallet over there, there's a tile there, walk a little bit down the road, there's a loop there, a tile there, and a pallet. We've looked at 20% of the map. 20% of the map is jam-packed. Like, jam-packed. Like, oh my god. And the Garden of Joy and a couple spots in the Shattered Square suffer from the same issue of, there's really strong stuff there. That is easily fixed. This is what annoys me. Is something like the Garden of Joy. They're easy fixed how strong these loops are. And Behavior just says, nah. Even then, there's another great offender. Where is that monstrosity? There it is. Lambkin Lane. I would argue with you, I shit you not, I would argue with you, this Lambkin Lane might be better than the original Lamp and Lane. That made every building in this map is busted. Every building in this map has like 5+ windows. And they're all ridiculously good. Like, they're all insane how good they are. It's like the main building, it's crazy. The main building literally has 6 windows. And no joke, 3 of those windows, there is not anything you can do. There is not anything you can do. There is not a single thing you can do with a lot of those windows. A lot of those windows just pretty much come down to vault the window and get it over with. I don't know, I just wanted to rant about the crappy map design of Behavior in the last year, pretty much. It hasn't really gotten any better. The other thing I saw in Mr. Nightmare video, he is right. The junk. There's just too much shit in the way. And every map, there just feels like there's just crap everywhere. I'm like, I'm playing Hillbilly, and it's like, before it's like, Hillbilly, you gotta dodge a lot, but there's like, I can chainsaw around the whole map, but this, it's like, there's just too much, legitimately, there's just too much shit in the way. There's just too much random shit in the way. And there's a lot of killers that rely on something like Hillbilly or Huntress, where you have to have big open areas to do much. But anyway, that's the end of this video here. Really like, comment, subscribe, the notification bell down below. Do me a favor, open the video. Peace out.